Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Select Board meeting of Monday, June 7th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Again, with COVID restrictions being lifted, we as a board have decided to continue to meet virtually, but as things change, we'll keep you updated. All right, we will call this to order at 7 o'clock. Approval of minutes from last week. Did anyone have any questions, review, comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Dang. All right, we got a motion and a second. Let's have a vote. If there's no questions. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
There you go. We are unanimous. All right, Mrs. Nadowitz, you're up. Any correspondence?
Yes, there's one piece of correspondence that was submitted by Peter Hoffman as designee of the board, well, as film liaison designee of the board. He has requested that the board submit correspondence to our legislators asking for their support for lifting the sunset clause for film tax incentives. The original letter and the dressed up letter are both in your folder for tonight.
Do you want to take that up now or do you want to wait?
No, it's correspondence, and it just if the board likes the letter, the board could authorize the chair to sign and submit it.
I only had a chance to read Peter's letter. It looked fine to me.
Looks fine to me too.
Same. I liked all the little pictures and here and then in Marlboro. I forgot about the rotary, the old RMV. I think that's where I got my driver's permit about 8,000 years ago. And then going through Maynard, having worked at Digital in the mill for a while, it was just kind of cool to see downtown Maynard.
By the way, the sunset date currently is January 2023. So.
Okay.
Right.
So motion to approve Peter's letter. I mean,
Second.
you can change it if you'd like. I just made the motion.
Yep.
There wasn't anything that popped up in my mind that needed to change. So, I mean, I'm good with it. So we have a motion and a second.
No, Peg, the issue isn't, do you want it the dressed up one or the non-dressed up one?
I like the dress, the one with the pictures. I like the.
Yeah, I like the pictures. Is that the dressed up one?
And that's the one that Chris said she hadn't read.
Oh.
That's
Oh,
okay.
Well, no, we can, if the sunset clause isn't until a couple years from now, we can just move it or move it to next week.
Okay,
Yep.
whatever you'd like to do.
All right, let's do that then. So why don't we wait until we've all had a chance to look at pictures versus non-pictures on the letter and decide which one we want to go with. Then we'll take care of it. Okay, all right, so general public comments. Ms. Poland, any questions? We know we're going to be promoting Dave in a few minutes. So any general public comments from our two people in the audience? I see June probably shaking her head going no. Okay. So Dave is up at 7. Oh, look at that. She put her hand up. All right. Can we let June in, please? There she is.
She liked the dressed up one too.
Ms. Poland, how are you?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to say hello, and it was nice to see all of you making it here today on such a nice hot day. So that's all. So you have a comment.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you.
Yay. All right, so we've got about 6 minutes until Dave. I don't know if we want to let him go now or wait, and then Margaret move on to your administrator report.
Peg, Dave's here. I suggest promoting him. I think he's ready.
All right. Hi, Dave.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Is everybody's air conditioner working properly today? Because
Yes,
is June still on? June was not too happy because the air conditioner wasn't working as well as it should.
Even though you changed all the filters and everything?
Yeah, well, also, if anybody complains, the last three offices, the board room, the records room, and the hearings room, I shut the AC off and they had to try to get it to the offices that are not being used. So if somebody complains about they being hot, that's why.
All righty, Dave, we'll let you roll.
All right, so we finally put our snow equipment to bed for the season. We went through everything and I ordered some tires, a couple of pieces and parts, some bed chains for the spreaders. While we had some money left in the snow and ice expense account. So we'll be in good shape come next winter with the equipment. National Grid still in town creating quite a havoc with traffic because they've been on 62 with the crane. And I've got a few complaints of people, but it's nothing to do with the town. So, and they don't tell me when they're coming, they just show up. But they're cutting trees, so either they complain that the trees aren't getting cut or they complain that the trees are getting cut, so you can't win. So we've been mowing and mowing and mowing, picking up the logs that Grid has left on the side of the road. The boys have been out doing some roadside trimming, servicing the mowers and the equipment for the summer maintenance stuff. We went down and got the water system running for the community garden. We brought them some wood chips for their garden. Let's see. The fence at the conservation land on Linden, which we don't need to talk about. We set up for town meeting and broke that down. The guys got the flags all put up on the flagpoles for Memorial Day. Finally installed the locker. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the town of Hudson donated a evidence locker to the police department. It's kind of like a drop box at the bank, so you can put evidence in and you can't get it back out unless you have access to the evidence room. So we had to hire a company to come in and cut out a section of the block wall and install that. Fred put that in, did a really nice job with it. We got the crosswalks, the lines painted, the arrows painted down by the rotaries. What else did we do? They just replaced the AC unit for the IT room that failed last fall. I finally got that replaced a couple weeks ago. We've done some rearranging of offices. I'm not sure if you've been in the town hall to see where we moved Margaret to.
Your office?
Hey, did you
And we're not doing-
fix the door? Because she's getting quite adept at like reaching around and, letting herself in from the back.
We've got one more window to cut in the office where the veterans agent is going, and then I think we'll be done. So it's going to work pretty nice once it's all done.
Nice job.
Nice.
Yeah, the gentleman does nice work. He does a lot of work for the hospitals, UMass Memorial, and a lot of college and institutional work. The guys attended a wood chipper safety course. Fred serviced the HVAC units. Library septic is done. The guys put the silt fence up. I'm sorry, not the silt fence, the perimeter fence to keep people out of there and some barriers. So that worked out quite well. We just took that apart today. So that came out very nice. Very happy with that contractor. They did a very nice job.
Good.
We assisted them a little bit moving some of the bigger boulders to keep the cost down. So I was very pleased with them and would highly recommend them to work anywhere. And we're about ready to start. We cut I'm not sure if you've been to the transfer station, but there's an issue where the compactors are, the ground is settling. We went in 2 years ago and we tried to fill in the void and repave it, and it's sinking again. So we're gonna go in and excavate a trench. We're thinking the water is coming in from the old landfill underneath the pavement and washing through the stone wall where the compactors are. So we're gonna dig right out behind the stone wall and run a trench with some pipe to daylight it around the corner and fill the trench back up with stone. It's not the ideal solution, but it'll probably get, if we can get 8 or 10 years out of it type of thing before we have to do a major retrofit down there. It really should have a poured concrete wall, but that's gonna take, it's gonna be a substantial cost. So.
I wonder if that's something we should report over to capital planning, even if it's 8 to 10 years out, to like have a note of it somewhere, so as we get closer to it, there are more people who might know about it and plan for it appropriately.
Right. So just my suggestion in the big picture, if something's gonna happen with the transfer station where it gets to be a little bit more, if it's coming under the highway department and get a little more user friendly, I think, perhaps some engineering, a study or something done to make it a little more fluid. So at that time, you can put the compactors where they really should be going. I think, I'm not saying that where they are is a bad spot, but perhaps it could be a little more fluid. I know I went around with Pete Chimelli and we looked at a couple of other transfer stations locally, and traffic can flow a little quicker. People don't get all lined up and have to get out of their cars. And I know I've been down there a few times and people park quite a ways off sometimes and walk, and that kind of creates a safety hazard. So long-term, I think.
Good, yeah.
The study.
I think we need to help teach people how to park too. You come in and it's like, the building is here, so people park like this, or they'll park at a kitty corner, or some people back in, some people pull in, and then you've got people over there at the glass. So yeah, can definitely help with that.
When the time comes, though, you'll see a couple of the places that they just set up a little bit more fluid so that, people can go to different stations and not park their car in one spot and then walk to every.
Walk around, yep.
It's just a little more fluid. That's just a suggestion.
How are the new guys working out?
Good.
Are they all working towards their licenses or whatever they need so that they
Well, I
can?
keep leaning on them. I keep trying to tell them that you got to get on this. Winter's coming. So.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith.
Dave, one of my neighbors dropped off a traffic advisory request to paint lines around the edges of Sorry Hill Road so they're more visible at night.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to what's the next process? He's asked me a couple of times about it. Since I knew you were on the agenda tonight, I figured I'd at least ask.
Well, we need to have a traffic advisory meeting. We haven't met. So we need to set that up. And do that. We'll throw it at the meeting. One of the problems with Sawyer Hill Road is it's so darn narrow to begin with.
Right.
Once you start putting lines on it, it even creates more of an issue.
Yeah, I think he's looking I know he's not looking for anything down the center. I think he's just looking something to help designate where the edges are. So in the evening hours when someone's coming up the hill and you're trying to go down the hill, sort of where do you think you're about to drop off and hit a wall or a rock and be off road and where you're not?
Yeah, that's something we can do when they come into line stripe. It wouldn't be that much of an issue.
I've been looking at some of the surrounding towns and seeing that on some of their roads. It's not universal, but it does make I see how it makes a lighting difference.
Absolutely.
Good. I'll let them know that it's going to be on an upcoming meeting agenda. It's fine.
All right.
And then our rotation of department heads. Dave's going to be back before the end of June?
Margaret's,
Okay.
yep.
Well, no,
I trying to make sure we have we have another one with him.
we
I
can,
hope so.
we can make one.
Okay.
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
I sense, and I've talked with Dave about this, I sense that we've received 5 resumes now. And I've talked with Dave. I think, given the period of time it's going to take for the preliminary interviews, there was a glitch with posting in the Telegram and Gazette, which could create an issue of 1 week. But given the anticipated process, I think I'm going to be making a recommendation to the board about a transition period with Dave. I've talked with Dave about this, so we just need to figure out how we're going to proceed with that.
Okay.
So.
I just didn't want him to have a last meeting with the select board and us not say anything or thank you for your work. So, okay.
All right. Well, Chris, you good?
I'm good.
All right.
Good to see you,
Thank you.
Dave.
Nice to see you, Dave. Stay cool
Yes,
in the next
thanks,
few days.
yes. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, Mrs. Nardowitz, you're up with your TA report.
Okay. The state of emergency is going to be lifted on June 15th, and I've included in my TA report that I recommend starting Wednesday, June 16th, or upon lifting of the Commonwealth state of emergency, if it's after June 15th, that town boards and committees be given the open choice of holding fully in-person meetings at the town office meeting rooms or in other town buildings, provided social distancing requirements and face covering requirements are met. There's been a lot of, several boards and committees have asked me about this already. And again, this would strictly be an option. The other option, of course, is continuing to hold virtual meetings, as has been done until such time as the state lifts that extension. I reached out again this morning to our legislators about the fire chief special legislation. Now it's being reviewed by Senate Council. John and Meg continue to say that they are pushing daily to move it to the Senate floor for a vote as soon as possible. So it appears to still be moving and definitely on their radar. Now, we just talked about the highway superintendent, facilities director, job opening. I mentioned that we have received 5 resumes now. I've set up a preliminary interview panel consisting of 5 members, including me. And if the board cares to designate a member, I know board members previously had been designees to the preliminary panels. I thought, Chris, would you be interested in doing that as a board designee if the board would like to have a designee sit on the preliminary panel?
If they would like a member of the board to sit in on those interviews, I'd be happy to.
How's the board feel about that?
Sure. I don't have any
Perfect.
problems with it.
Nope, I'm good.
It might even
Okay.
help speed things along too.
I'll try.
Well, Scott, we've done pretty good so far with, we had a lot of openings when I first came aboard
Yeah.
and we
Yep.
moved them along.
Yep.
So, the Division of Local Services, Department of Revenue's Division of Local Services Technical Assistance Bureau has contacted me and will be coming in starting this Friday for the financial management review project.
Nice.
So what that's going to entail is several interviews with the finance department managers, their staff, select board members, finance committee chair, and any others they feel that they could actually glean some information from. So that is in order to gather information on, the basic scope of work, where everyone feels the town is at currently, where the areas of focus should be. But I've provided them a pretty specific outline of areas that we need to look at based on the initial requests the board submitted in February 2020 of all the things the town has to consider with respect to finances and all the new things that have happened. The establishment of the school district, the new Board of Selectmen Town Administrator Act, the combining of the treasurer and collector's positions, all of that, and CPA, all of that has created a lot of fluidity here and should be looked into for the purpose of financial best practices. So I will be in touch with more details. I will ask that, I will contact each of the board members asking for a time convenient for you where DOR's team could actually reach out to you and talk with you about the project. Anybody have any questions on that? I personally am very happy that this is finally moving forward. It's been a long, long pause due to COVID, and it's good to have this in the works now. The parking lot resurfacing project bid opening is this Tuesday, June 8th at 4 p.m. It's a public bid opening. Tolman property. I have a call scheduled this Wednesday with CMRPC and Fuss and O'Neill, the engineers that have been doing the Brownfields Phase 2 study on the property. I understand that a private party has made an offer on that property, and that may in fact alter or stop the phase 2 work that's been done through the regional brownfields funding. So I will talk more in detail with Tim Clinton of Fuss and O'Neill and Andrew Lowe at CMRPC about where that project stands, how much work has been done, and what the next steps will be. Earth removal and import. So we have a couple of active things. We were notified this morning by a member of the Earthworks Advisory Committee that material is being transported to South Street to the Capes of Berlin site. So I reached out to the developer of that site, notifying him of the requirements of the earth removal and importation bylaw, and notified him that the exemption of residential development does not apply for removal or import of soil involving topographical changes or soil stripping. So I provided the developer with the photos that were taken of this. So we are waiting to hear back from the developer. The other matter is with the Highland Ridge developer. So Mary has drafted a notice to that developer. I would ask that the board members each review it. The notice looks good to me. It does what it's intended to do and alerts the developer of the earth removal and importation bylaw and the compliance requirements. It also gives a history of that particular project's earthworks permits. And finally, a while ago, I think I mentioned this to you earlier, RCAP Solutions, who works with DEP, has notified the town a while ago that they were going to be doing a private well project here in town. I put in your agenda folder for tonight a flyer on that particular program, the private well program. This is going to provide some services directly to residents. This is not a town program. This is for residents, and it's going to provide a limited number of complimentary private well assessments. There'll be an additional phase after that for education, outreach to residents, advocacy for private well protection, et cetera. Now, I had asked earlier, I had asked the Board of Health if they'd be willing to meet jointly with the board. I haven't heard back yet, but I emailed the chair again today asking about that. As a fallback, I would like to discuss further with the board to host the select board to host the joint meeting with the Board of Health, because I think it's important to get the information out to residents sooner rather than later.
I agree.
And then finally, the Village Center Strategic Plan, which also was paused for quite a long time due to COVID. We are trying to schedule a follow-up meeting with a core group of stakeholders, and the intent with that is to open this up to a larger group of stakeholders from the Village Center, do a walkthrough with Mass Development and Mass Office of Business Development, and then expand the meetings to the entire community and community information sessions and a survey. So there's going to be more to come on that, and I'll keep you posted. And that is it.
So Margaret, do you need any approvals on items from us?
I only ask, I don't need an approval, but I just ask that you review the draft letter that Mary prepared. I want that out in the mail tomorrow at the very, it has to be tomorrow. I want it out tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So that's for the
Okay.
earthworks permit for Highland Ridge.
That's the one for Highland Ridge, yes.
Okay. All right. So I would probably say what, Mary, by noon, if you don't hear from any of us, that let it roll.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Nardowitz.
You're welcome.
Let's see, where are we? We have no old business, and we have a few things under new business. So the first one is to vote to extend the LLA only authorization for outside liquor to be sold at the Berlin Country Club.
There are two items here. The first is to extend the authorization on the COVID-19 expansion of outdoor service until, and I'll cite this from the temporary license, until August 15th, 2021, or until expiration of the Commonwealth's authorization for such temporary COVID-19 local only licensing. Okay, as it stands right now, it's August 15th. They may in fact extend it into November or to the end of November. This would provide the ability to extend it until such time the state terminates the extension. The other thing is,
I think Mary's trying to say something.
Just whichever date is later.
Right.
excuse me,
Whichever date is later.
whichever's later.
Yep.
Okay, the other thing is to release the change of manager license for Berlin Country Club. This is also in your packet. The ABCC has approved it, and now the board just needs to vote to release it.
So I'm fine with both of those, extending their outdoor permit and change of manager. So I can make that motion. I move to do that.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? No other further questions? And we'll put it to a vote. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keith, aye.
There you go, Margaret.
Okay. The next item is, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. You're up. You're up, Peg.
No. Remember, this is fluid. Peg
Okay.
sometimes forgets to do
Okay.
things. This is why Peg relies on all of you to be like, you got a motion? You got the next one? So keep rolling, Margaret. I'm good.
That's good. Okay, so the next item is Regal Cinema. Okay, both of these items, I recommend that the board approve contingent on completion of the safety inspection. So the first item is the release of the 2021 licenses. That's the section 12 license for alcohol, common victualers license, and public entertainment license. I recommend that the board approve to release these upon completion of the safety inspection. The same thing with change of manager to James Lemaire. I recommend that the board approve this change of manager application subject to satisfactory completion of the safety inspection. That's going to be done Thursday morning.
So I'm torn on these a little bit in that I don't like necessarily getting in the way of businesses doing their jobs. I want us to be taken seriously for our licenses and the safety of our residents. I could have, if they wanted, if I was willing to, have bought alcohol there when I was watching a movie on Sunday. And so on Sunday, while I'm getting my popcorn and soda, saying, "Hey, you have beer and wine here. Am I allowed to buy that right now too?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're selling that now," which makes me not happy with them since clearly they don't have their license yet. And so I don't know how we can. I have some understanding because they've gone through COVID and a lot of weird things happened and they were closed for many months. But we have been for more than a month, if not, saying, "Hey, we hear you're opening, here's some stuff to do," trying to be helpful. And yet I'm not feeling the other side of this.
So one of the options, short of shutting down the business completely, short of shutting them down completely,
Right.
is to have the LLA, the board, send a warning to the business saying that this, you shall not violate the terms of your license by selling alcoholic beverages, operating under a new manager who has not been approved, et cetera. So the board could certainly issue a warning to Regal, alerting them that there's not going to be tolerance for this.
I'm fine
Or
if
you
we
can
could.
shut them down.
I don't want to shut them down. I feel bad about shutting down any business. I'm sure they are struggling a little bit as it is. There's definitely employees impacted. It is a town thing. I enjoy their presence. I think maybe a warning would be nice. I think the inspecting people could also point it out when they're there on Thursday.
They could.
And I want a moment to think about whether or not I want to approve saying they're licensed now or waiting for everything else to be done and having them come back on Monday and ask for it.
You could also have the building commissioner deliver a letter at the time.
Yep. That could be done Thursday morning along with the safety
Because
inspection.
I think, Mary, have you had some problems with these in the
They're
past?
not looking for these licenses at all. Like, this is not relevant to them.
So maybe that would be, a letter would be a wake-up call that you need to comply with this.
Right, and the next step is we will shut you down.
Right.
And to Scott's point, the board certainly could take this up again on June 21st. Next week, you've only got a work session.
Right.
So the board could take this up on June 21st, but that causes a new gap
Right.
between the safety and inspection, right? So
So how about this? I will make the motion that will release the 2021 license and change of manager for Solomon Pond Regal pending completion of the building and fire marshal inspection, delivery of a warning letter of them selling alcohol without having a license.
Second,
okay, all right. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
I will ask Mary to prepare that letter for hand delivery by the building inspector and fire marshal on Thursday morning.
I don't know
All
if
right.
the ABCC has any, if it actually, state law actually gets in the way of this.
Mary, I'm going to ask you to prepare a letter that
will.
the building commissioner and fire marshal will deliver on Thursday morning with a safety inspection.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to provide the letter in hand upon completion of the inspection and for the license renewal. So we'll put it to a vote. Stone eye,
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe.
excellent. Margaret, I'll put this down. I'm making a note that we can just, and again, I know that the 21st is a few weeks away, but you know, if anything, we can just put it on the agenda and we can always take it off, but just as a double check that all is well.
Yep.
Okay.
And so is change of manager being held until that time? 'Cause
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So the special event permit application update is next.
That is a very, see, I haven't said through the chair once, Peg. That's a
I've
very
noticed, Margaret,
simple-
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
That is a very simple update to the special
Mhm.
event application. It adds the words for, on the title of the form, adds the words for events held on town-owned properties and public ways.
Mhm.
That would be anything held in a street, like a block party. It would be anything held on the South Commons, etc. Right now, it's open even for private property, and we're going to get questioned 99.9% of the time for events that are held on private property.
Right.
So I recommend that the special event application be updated to reflect this change, and also the miscellaneous changes throughout from Board of Selectmen to Select Board.
Look fine
Oh,
by
look.
me.
So moved.
Second,
All right, we have a motion and a second for all the changes on the application. Stone eye,
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe.
all righty. So, Margaret, with this event application, does that kind of sort of give the go-ahead for Chief to put in any of the fees that he was talking about a couple weeks ago?
No, this doesn't
Okay.
do anything with inspection fees.
Okay,
This is really strictly only the special event application. Any kind of inspection fees
okay,
would be in addition to that.
all righty. Okay, all right, so. Review film permit process and fee schedule for property updates, possible updates.
I have no recommendations on that.
All right,
In other words, I don't recommend any changes.
I
What,
mean, I thought it looked good, but I didn't know if you had any recommendations, Margaret.
No,
so what is the definition of filming? Like if I want to do a YouTube video for my non-commercial YouTube channel in my backyard of me gardening, do I need a permit?
no.
I mean, this is the problem, I think, in today's society, because there is a gradient from I'm doing a non-commercialized, just for my family and friends video in my backyard to I have a monetized YouTube channel that I'm an influencer and I'm doing an Instagram thing to I'm
Really
doing a
good.
commercial, to I'm doing
Or
a
Railroad is
TikTok, you
doing a
know?
Safety film or,
Right, the railroad's doing a safety film. I mean, I think some are obvious and some are not. You know, again, the filming of me gardening in the backyard for my 5-person YouTube channel, no. You know, a feature film with a couple $100 million budget that's going to close roads for a couple of hours, yes. But there's a million things in between those two. I think the form itself is fine, but I think we might want to do at least a little bit of at least start defining where some of those edges are.
Probably kind of like the town property on the special event permit.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and you can always update it as we go too. We may see that there are certain things that need to be updated at
Right.
some point.
And as a small town, I think it is easier for us to say, these are definitely yes, these are definitely no. And the middle, we're going to do on a case by case basis, because there's a good chance the middle ones, like if someone's filming an influencer video on Instagram, it might not ever be noticed because they're not blocking anything. They're on private property.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's always going to be sort of the number of people involved and the number of interruption to local stuff and noises to surrounding neighbors. And we could describe some of those things in ways that allow us to say yes for this and no for that when it comes to do they need a permit.
Good points. I will look at other examples and see if we can actually get a clearer definition of what filming is, what filming entails under this permit.
Margaret, I'll make a note to like put this on. I don't think it's like super duper high priority. You can probably
No.
slide to like July something, or one of 2 meetings in July.
Well,
Okay.
if it needs any updates.
Yeah.
you know,
If it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Juneteenth, and Mary, thank you for making the change from Sunday to Saturday. So Margaret, do you want to talk about your proclamation?
So this is a proclamation. I had proposed, I proposed a resolution, just recognizing what June 19th is and why it is commemorated. This proclamation serves that purpose. It explains the history of June 19th. And this proclamation essentially honors the purpose for June 19th and the reason for the state's action in adding it to the list of state recognized holidays.
But it makes no commentary about whether or not it's a holiday for our employees, or do we
It does
automatically
not.
No,
It does not.
not yet.
And one of the reasons for that is, one, it's occurring very, very soon. Two, this is a mandatory subject of bargaining under collective bargaining. And three, our town bylaws memorialize a list of recognized holidays. So that all has to be taken up at a later point.
Yep. That's fine. I just confirming what I thought I read. So
Yep.
I'm fine with it.
So is this something that we need to like vote on and agree and come down and sign that can be posted on the town website, you know, as Mary pointed out, sent out to Representative Trahan, and just posted everywhere, or something that needs to be read at our next meeting?
Well, we read it, right? We all did.
Mhm. But like something, you know, read as in, you know, at our next meeting, someone reads this proclamation, kind of like we did when Black Lives Matter movement was starting, and the board came together and came out with a paragraph, and Lisa, you know, read it for the town on behalf of the board.
Well, if we approve it tonight, Peg, I think you should read it.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks. Okay. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So second,
All right. Hearing no further questions, put it to a vote. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Keefe, aye.
There you go. We are unanimous. So you want this read tonight or at our next meeting, when we open our next meeting?
You want to read it? You want to read it tonight, Peg, since your next meeting is a working
No, that's true.
session?
Okay, proclamation. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, declaring the slaves in Confederate territory free, paving the way for the passing of the 13th Amendment on January 31st, 1865, and ratified later that year, formally abolishing slavery in the United States of America. Whereas word about the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was delayed some 2.5 years to June 19th, 1865, in reaching authorities and African Americans in the South and Southwestern United States as various fronts of the war raged on. It was on that day that Union Major General Gordon Granger and his 2,000 troops landed in Galveston, Texas, and announced that the Civil War had ended. Major General Granger also read aloud a proclamation declaring that all enslaved people were free, announcing, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor." Whereas the first Juneteenth was informally celebrated a year later in Texas. Texas became the first state to formally adopt Juneteenth as a holiday in 1979. Today, Juneteenth is recognized across the country to mark this important milestone. Whereas June 19th has a special meaning to African Americans and is called June 19th, combining the words June and 19th, and has been celebrated by the African American community for over 150 years. Whereas Juneteenth has been encoded in Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 6, Section 15, BBBB, titled Juneteenth Independence Day, by signature of Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker on June 19th, 2020. And whereas the 117th Congress first session has advanced HR 1320, seeking to amend Title V, United States Code, to establish Juneteenth Independence Day as a federal holiday, Juneteenth National Independence Day Act. Said legislation is co-sponsored by 160 lawmakers. Now, therefore, we are the Berlin Select Board of the Town of Berlin, Massachusetts, do hereby declare Saturday, June 19th, 2021, as Juneteenth in the town of Berlin, Massachusetts, and urge all citizens to become more aware of the significance of the celebration in African American history and in the heritage of our nation and our local community. The Select Board also declares that June 19th shall be celebrated hereafter on June 19th of each subsequent year. And the Select Board directs this declaration to be shared with the 3rd Massachusetts District House Representative, Laurie Trahan, a co-sponsor, the House Oversight Committee, and Massachusetts U.S. Senators to show the highest support for immediate passage of HR 1320. In witness whereof, we have set our hands and caused the seal of the town of Berlin to be affixed the 7th day of June, 2021. Berlin Select Board, Margaret Stone, Chair, R. Scott Hawkins, Vice Chair, Christine Keefe, Clerk. Here you go. I almost made it.
That's okay. Just call me
Margaret is
Christine
muted.
Clerk.
Christine Clerk. There you go.
The first bullet under now, therefore, that should read Saturday, June 19th. Is that how you read it? It's
Yes.
right now it reads Sunday, June 19th. It should read.
Oh, no, the one that I
Oh.
read was Saturday.
Okay, good.
I had caught it and Mary changed it.
Okay,
Edited
thank
it
you.
During
Yep.
the meeting.
Yep. I
All
watched
right.
it change.
Very cool. All right, excellent. Well done. So moving on, Margaret, no end of year appropriation transfers?
There are no end of year appropriation transfers today.
All right, so next up is review and discuss select board goals and objectives. So I see that we've all passed them in. I did post it out to Berlin Neighbors Connect and Berlin Residents United, our unofficial pages. There's been discussion. A lot of people have piped in, which is nice. And I'll write them down for our meeting next week, but people want us to look into another option besides Spectrum. So probably not something that we can do, but something that we can definitely put on our list. There's talk of sidewalks, people wanting sidewalks in town. So, there's something that, Margaret, I think that you had mentioned in order to do that, we need to come up with some sort of money for some sort of.
Absolutely. We can
Study.
get money for construction. We just need the engineering and design money.
Yep. Other people have piped in, they'd like us to see, to do something more for recreation, to be a little bit stronger, to do something more for our seniors in town, to put in some type of potential splash pad, that other surrounding towns have for their little kids. And there were a few others, but very happy to see that the town is responding. And, I'm also looking at an opportunity, if someone is saying, hey, what about, then I think it might be a good opportunity to tap them back and be like, hey, so you wanted, so can you help us? Type of thing. So to get that volunteerism going, in town.
I should ask Mary if she has received any comments by email from the public.
0. Okay. All right.
0.
I'll pull them off of Facebook and I'll bring them with me for next week.
It's in your folder tonight.
Okay.
I took it down off of Facebook.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. So I know next week that we're talking about our goals and objectives. What I'd like to propose, even though we're Zooming, is that next week we unzoom and actually head into the town offices, maybe head down to where ZBA sits, the hearing room, the room's big enough. We can all sit on the other side of the table. I just think that, if we're looking to put together any type of affinity diagram and you're putting, stickies up on a wall and talking about them, then it's going to be easier for the 5 of us to be sitting and talking and looking at each other and pointing and moving and being able to do priorities and time and, money than trying to do it this way and like have another computer somewhere. So that's the thought up for discussion, obviously.
I know.
I'm fine with that.
Well, we did already discuss it once last week,
Yeah.
and we decided we were going to just do virtual. So I just wanted to remind you.
Yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about it. I'd really like to lean towards, unzoom. I don't know, to me, because we're gonna have to pull up the site, we're gonna have to share it. How do we record it? How do we move things around? What's on Scott's list? What's on my list? What's on Chris's list? Do the 3 of them overlap? What kind of discussion is there? I like the Zoom meetings, but for this one, I feel that we truly need an in-person. It might go a little bit quicker if we're all standing around having a chat than trying to do it on the board, than trying to do it via Zoom.
Okay. I don't want to bring my personal issues into this really, but my husband does have a meeting on Monday nights also, which generally wasn't a problem until we had Cujo. So I can do my best. If you both agree that that's what you want to do, I can do my best to be there.
Or we can always have you participate by Zoom, so.
Right. We'll see how it's going.
Yeah.
I mean, this has just been so easy for me with puppies.
Yep. So Scott, are you good with an
I
in-person drive-by?
I am fine either way.
All right.
I don't have a strong preference. There's definitely some things I can do if we're on Zoom because
Yeah.
I have things spread out here and different resources I can pull up without being overly distracting. But I also love the game of writing things on sticky notes and moving sticky notes around and up and down and left and right, which you can't do on computers as easily. So
Right.
I'm adaptable.
Okay. So why don't we go for an in-person down the hall? Because it's only us. I mean, it's not really open to the pub, well, for public input.
It does have to be a public meeting.
It has to be posted with a specific location. I don't know whether or not there is a location that combines Zoom with in-person at this point. But remote meeting standards would be met if one member is participating remotely. So that's not an issue.
So
Mary, can my town government actually reflect an in-person meeting?
I can state it as other, and then I can
Okay.
give clarification.
Okay, good. Okay.
So Margaret, say like Scott and I each brought our laptop and
Mhm.
hooked in, and we had Zoom, and we take one laptop and like point it to the board, so who's ever doing the, you know, the jiggle of
Mhm.
the notepads, and then we
Kind of like
have,
my blank wall here.
yes,
Imagine.
kind of like your blank wall there. You know, and then we have one on us, and then Chris is there. I mean, so
Mhm.
that, it's kind of like a hybrid approach,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
don't want to
And
mention
it's been
it.
made clear that no public comment will be entertained. It's strictly a board work
It's
session.
a working
correct?
session, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well,
So I mean, I think especially if we have that room, some public could attend. I can't imagine we'd have giant turnout and sit in the back row or sit in a
Mhm.
couple of rows in the back while we did this as well. And so it is not
Mhm.
like, again, we're just not looking for input at that point.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so let's give it a whirl, and we'll see what happens, and if it works, great, and if not, we come up with plan B.
Right.
You know, we put these together, so, you know, flexible. Want to be, you know, open to you, Chris and Cujo, and, you know, your husband and your needs and stuff like that, so.
well, I'd really like to be there if you
Mhm.
two are both going to be there, but it's just going to be a little more difficult for me.
Mhm. Okay. We'll get Cujo a babysitter. All
Bring
right.
her. Bring her.
Yeah, who's going to watch her?
I will.
There you go.
You guys can do your board.
I
I'll
think
watch her.
I think you're being assigned to sticky notes or something.
Okay.
I don't know. Margaret can hold Cujo in one hand and sticky note with the other hand.
We could figure something out.
We'll figure it out.
we could-
Honestly, Chris, if it's an option and it makes it easier, I have no problem you bringing Cujo. I mean, you brought her down a couple
Well, what would
Mondays
make it
ago.
easier is if we just did virtual.
I know, but I think just for this one, this is probably the only one that I can see that the more I thought about it, it just made more sense to have it on the board.
And
Because
have we-
truly you couldn't see. I mean, even if Margaret turned around and put things on her wall, unless she's holding her computer up right to it, you're not going to see it.
Yeah, but we did this last year without sticky notes, and we did goals we did it virtually. So it wasn't a big deal. So that's,
Right.
you know, that was why I suggested it. Plus
Yeah.
you know, I thought we were going to have tonight a special meeting where people could come and give their input, and it didn't happen. And
Well, we-
that's the meeting where I would have thought maybe it'd be easier to have it in person. But
Well, I mean, we
thought
did put it
people
out
wouldn't
there.
Be comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, we did put it out there and ask for people to give us their suggestions, but there's a few people in the
Well, I know but we
audience.
pushed the date out to the 14th because it didn't get advertised as something that
No.
people could attend.
Mm.
So anyway,
Okay.
it would just be more difficult for me. I would like to be there if the two of you are going to be there. I have to kind of see how it goes.
Okay.
Right now, I'm lucky she's sleeping.
All right, we'll keep us posted. You know,
I
we'll
volunteer,
definitely
Chris,
figure
to go
something out.
Take care of Cujo, and then you can go in person. How's that?
What's that?
I'll take care of Cujo.
Yeah.
We got a babysitter. There you go. All right.
I was going to volunteer Ross, but he's not within earshot. So I don't know if that makes it easier or harder for me to volunteer.
When you're not in the room and you get assigned it, then it's automatically yours. So there you go.
So as it stands right now, there is a posting on the town website, and I know that it's up on Berlin Neighbors Connect. Is it up on Berlin Residents United too? The
Yes.
feedback requested? Okay. So what this calls for is feedback from the public, deadline by Monday, June 14th at 4:30 p.m. This will give the board an opportunity to have gathered all the feedback that's been offered as far as goals and objectives. And there is a Zoom link that exists that's also on the posting for this.
Yeah, because it was going to be virtual.
Mm.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We'll try it. If it works, great. And if not, then we'll close the meeting down and go with Plan B. So we'll give that a shot. All right. So moving on to board questions and comments, liaison update. Chris, you want to go first?
Sure. I had been contacted by Brenna Ewing to request to plant 7 spirea plants on town land. She is in the audience if you have any questions, and perhaps Mary or Margaret could bring her up so that if you have any questions, she can answer them.
So I guess my first question is, no one really seems to know if that's town property. I don't know if that property is under an easement, because, you know, when we were all little and Mrs. Eastman, you know, marched us from the elementary school, you know, up to Powder House Hill, you know, how you got up there and stuff. So, and Molly is not around, or can there anybody from the assessors who can give us a definitive if it's town property or not?
Well, I have not had time to really look into this. I know the request came last week. I haven't had time to look at the easement itself to see the purpose of the easement. That's also going to make a difference. So I need a little time to just look into it.
Well, and I mean, and I have a concern as well, is that it's on a very busy street, and I'd be greatly concerned about liability, you know, if something happened, you know, there. You know, and then I'm also concerned about upkeep for it as well. You know, does it fall then to highway, you know, year over year to take care of, you know, so that's something else that you're putting on them. You know, so I do have some concerns just where it is.
Brenna has her hand up, even though she's in the group. I don't know if you, Brenna, you know, you're
On
muted.
mute.
There we go.
There
Hi.
you go.
What am I supposed to do? Ask you to start my video, and I don't know how to do that.
That's fine.
There you
go.
are.
Yeah,
I
there you
saw
are.
you. I saw you for a second.
Hi. So, the area that I'm talking about is directly behind the stone wall to the left of the light pole. And it does fall in town land because it's within 15 feet of the roadway.
So, okay,
So
so.
it's not related actually to the entrance to the walk up to Powder House Hill at all. It's right, the sidewalk abuts the stone wall to the left of the pole. I sent pictures to Chris, and
We've seen them.
and what it's going to do is turn that area into a zero maintenance, as opposed to someplace that they periodically have to cut brush away, because the spireas will make a hedge, a mass that for the most part should prevent other things from growing up.
I like
Kinda like
spirea. I have spirea at my house. I like it. Pretty.
And as far as the danger goes, I was going to ask Dave, the roads guy, if I could borrow some cones, and we will be on the sidewalk or on the wall. We will not be in the road at all to do this install. There's small pots, and it can be done with shovels and buckets. There's not going to be anybody in the road to do the install. So I'm confident that there's virtually no danger. And I've asked a helper to join me. It's just easier to carry materials and to move cones and so on if there's two people, which will make it even easier to be safe if there's two people.
I've got a question. I've got a question. Brenna, why that location? What prompted that location?
Because I've been looking at it and it's an eyesore. You know, it's just kind of nasty and nothing nice growing there. And there's all the beautiful, there's juniper and rhododendron and some other things and some lilacs heading over towards Warbin's property and the entrance to Powder House Hill. And I was just like, I've got 7 spirea that need a home, and that looks like a great spot. So I got in touch with you guys.
Yep.
They were given to me. So they were given to me by Richard and Leanne Wiedemann. And Leanne expressed a wish that I not sell them. which then, okay, now what am I gonna do with them? I don't have room on this property. They're very lovely. I've got my own spirea that I love, which I sent in a picture.
Mhm.
And then I thought, that's a good spot right there. Nice full sun. So that's why I offered.
Do you consider any other locations, Brenna, at all, if the board had any suggestions? Or are you locked into that?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. As a garden designer, I'm kind of committed, but if you want to see something else there, or you want to put those someplace else, I guess we can talk about it.
Well, the reason I ask is because when I first came aboard, actually before I first came aboard, when the board had a coffee talk where I had signed my contract with the town, there was a discussion this was at 19 Carter, and there was a discussion about beautifying the town. And
Mhm.
so I think there were a lot of different locations, multiple locations discussed. And I didn't know if, if that might be an option to kind of adopt a location.
Yeah, I mean, it's, when you come into Berlin, you come around, the first little teeny tiny rotary, and then you come up on the original rotary. I think that's where one of the discussion points was to what could be done there. It's kind of like your first view into Berlin compared to whizzing around the corner on 62 when it's how quickly can I get to Clinton and how quickly can I get to the center of town, type of thing. So, I mean, if, I had my druthers, I'd prefer it to be on the larger rotary, in town, or just looking at some type of, entrance points into town, and maybe aligning it somehow with EDC's request for the, welcome to Berlin signs, type of thing. If there's any type of partnership that you could do on, on that, this land, whatever the signs are, maintained by Berlin Lions Club, by Berlin Recreation or something like that, to have it a true community thing. But I mean, if you go to the 62, then, I mean, I definitely want confirmation. I want someone to say and to show me a piece of paper that it is in fact town property. And then I would also want police input as well. If you're putting up cones, are there any safety concerns, traffic concerns, definitely want them to, pipe in similarly to what Chief did last week on Linden Street.
I'm not familiar with what Chief did on Linden Street, but I was envisioning cones, not in the traffic lane, just to warn people that there's work happening, not out. So there's a line, and then there's about 2 feet, and then there's the sidewalk, and I was gonna put the 2 cones inside the line, not in the roadway.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
and
it's not
I get that, but still, anytime you come around a corner and there's cones, people are gonna like stop and look and wonder why, as to what's going on. So for me, it's a safety issue that I definitely want Chief Galvin to chime in on and be like,
That's fine.
yay, nay type
Yeah.
of thing.
That's fine. These spirea, as far as putting spirea in the circle, the big circle in South Berlin,
Mhm.
that would not be a choice that I would not choose that plant for there.
Okay.
It's too diminutive, and there's a lot of grasses that are just going to opportunistically come up through the spirea. I think it would be a terrible choice. That's not the right plant for that rotary at all. I don't think anything they planted down there is the right. I don't approve of anything that's been done down there, and spirea would make it worse.
All right. Comments, Scott, Chris?
I mean, I think Spirea would look pretty at the location where she is, where Brenna is proposing. I didn't think this was an appropriate select board item. I think roadside planning could be decided by the highway department Chair, just like what trees are coming down and other stuff are not things that come in front of us. And but I'm not going to try to belabor this conversation any longer than it needs to be.
So shall I
Chris?
take it?
What's that?
Any comments,
Me?
questions? Yeah.
I guess I trust Brenna's judgment as far as the type of plant and where to put it. If you need paperwork saying it's an okay place to put it, then I guess that's what we need to do.
Yeah. So Brenda, if you want to, get together with Chief Galvin, get together with Dave, our highway guy, and then just, shoot us an email, showing their approval concerns, they're good with it, then that's, that works for me. I just
Okay.
want, people who need to be involved, just to be made aware, no surprises.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I don't like surprises either.
Okay.
Not good.
All right.
Thank you.
Margaret, anything?
No, I will, I think I might have Brenna's email. I will contact Chief and Brenna and facilitate them talking about public safety. I will also talk with Dave about the issue of public property.
Okay.
I think that's more a road layout thing, and I want to be sure. I know that the road layout is narrow in that area. I just want to be sure. I want to confirm how far back the public way, the road layout actually goes.
Okay. All right. All right, Brenna, keep us posted.
Thanks for thinking
Thank
of it.
you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
girl.
Brenna.
Talk to you. All right. Chris, anything else on your updates?
No, except I would like to just request that things going in our Google Drive be there by the end of the day on Friday. And if there's anything that absolutely needs to go on a meeting agenda for the following Monday, that it's be sent with an email rather than just put it in the Google Drive and nobody tells you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and when things go in at like 5:20 or something like that, then
You don't see them.
I'm not going to see it. There were times over the years that I've been checking email all the way up until 10 of 7, and I don't want to do that anymore.
No, no, understood.
So it's just sort of, let's do our best to try to put everything in there. I mean, with the exception of Margaret's town administrator report, I don't mind. She does that on the weekend. And she usually puts it in on
I mind,
Sunday,
and I
so
wish
it's
I
not
could
a
get
big
it done
deal.
on Friday, so I wouldn't have to do it on the weekend. But that's not the way it usually works.
That's
Well,
my
I
Monday
can
lunch reading.
understand- I can understand because, this weekend was nice and I wanted to get outside and I didn't want to do the homework either. I didn't want to have to go look at the Google Drive on Saturday or Sunday. So I can understand, but if it's there Friday night, then we've got the weekend, whatever day you want
Take a look.
to take a look.
All
Just
right.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. Mr. Hawkins.
We have I think a deadline for historical to have things out of town offices by
July
the next
1st.
3 weeks or so. Yep.
Mhm.
Any more resources we can give them to help facilitate that happening? It looks like we've given them a place to put things to. Is that building in okay enough shape to put those items in that location? Okay. And then we've not heard on like what day they have a moving day planned that I might be able to add some muscle to.
No, we haven't heard that. I also haven't heard confirmation from Dave that they've been in touch with him to move the large stuff out from downstairs. So
Okay.
Dave has offered, he said, okay, he'd help with the large stuff. But I don't know whether or not that's happened yet.
Maybe
So,
you should shoot Barry an email, Scott.
Yeah,
Let him know you're
I'll
available.
I'll shoot the whole historic commission an email. Yeah.
yeah, because their next meeting, I'm looking on my town government, is next Tuesday, the 15th at 10
Yeah.
in the morning. Let's see if it's on their agenda. Bullet House.
Yep.
I got Bullet
Of course.
House on the agenda, so,
Yep.
okay. All right. Anything else, Mr. Hawkins?
No, whoops, I hit my laptop again. No, I think I got the other items.
Okay. So Margaret, I just had a couple, the Energy Commission, have you heard back from them on a
I'm
date?
not.
No,
I have not. I'm pressing.
okay. All right. And is there anything that we need to speak about either in executive session or open session regarding the email from Mr. Polino?
I have not even, that's came today.
Today?
I have not even read it yet, to be honest with you. That came at 5:46 PM, so I haven't had a chance to read through it.
All right.
Margaret,
Right.
have you by any chance sent an email off to Liz about the voting? No.
School committee. I sent
Yeah.
out an email to her about something else, but not the school committee.
Okay.
I will have to I'll have to ask her that.
Oh, did
Okay,
we
are we
ever
getting-
hear back from the guy who was supposed to come last week?
No, I haven't heard a thing.
Okay.
I
I'll
read-
reach out to Christy at the school and find out what's going on with the school committee. See if we can somehow go around to find out what's going on.
Probably call Bob Conry and find out.
Yes.
He would probably know. And I did reread James's email again today because I was going through emails, and it looked like he was going to contact us or something about when when we would be on the agenda. I don't know.
He had asked to be on the agenda, and that's why I tried to set up 2 different meetings with him, but I never heard back. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I'll reach out to Christy, I guess, on this now,
I did. Yeah, well, I kind of did. I asked
or Bob.
who's on the school committee, and she sent me an updated list from the website.
Okay.
But he's still on it apparently. They're just reorganizing June 14th, I believe.
Okay, maybe I can reach out to Jeff too.
And then,
Okay.
I mean, I really don't have much other for updates. I know that Conservation is going to planning tomorrow to talk about the in and out up at Linden Street. So just have to wait for planning to see what they do. Rec, I really haven't heard from, and then Earthworks, they're quiet. I know I sent them the comments from Amy, I think, on combining Earthworks and importation. I don't know if they're doing anything with that.
We absolutely have to work on that, and
I'll reach out to
work
them,
on it
Margaret.
too.
I'll reach out. I'll shoot them an email and just see, because I don't think that they have a meeting scheduled. So last time I looked, they did not. Let me just take a quick peek.
Yeah, I can do some legwork on that too, Peg.
Yeah, they have no future meetings scheduled. So I will send a note to Mike and Lynn and Paul and Bob Wheeler. Okay, for the docs. All right. Other than that, I'm good. Any last minute questions, comments?
No, I just want to make sure, would all 3 board members like an opportunity to talk with the team from DLS? If so, I can try to facilitate that for you.
I would like to.
Yep.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I'll work on that.
All right, seeing that we have no executive session scheduled, I will entertain a motion to see ya.
So moved.
All
Second.
right, so with a motion and a second to close the meeting, let's start with the vote. Stone eye.
Hawkins, aye.
Key-fi.
All righty, there you go.